Hi, guys, and welcome back to the Black Millennial Wife. I'm Jet,
And I'm Avis.
and we thank you so much for tuning in for another episode. So, we'd like to start off by, of course, highlighting Black-owned businesses. I would love to highlight ItSo Vegan. It is a vegan restaurant located in Grand Prairie, Texas. They are absolutely delicious, okay? If you're vegan, if you're not vegan, please go check them out. It's a Black-owned business. Personally, my friends are partners in this business, and I know that they would love your support. They're open for dine-in services as well as takeout. So go try some ItSo Vegan.
So the Black business that I would like to highlight is Mango Moi. So I got to do another YouTube. Hold on. There we go. Mango Moi, MOI. So their website is mangomoi.com. They do body scrubs and body butters. So kind of like shea butter, but not shea butter. It has a really nice smell. It's heavy enough, but not too heavy. I use this on my body after showering. You can use it on your hair as well. So I've liked this a lot as a shea butter alternative. I wanted something with a little bit of a scent to it, but still like kind of light, not perfumey. And it's been great. So go to their website, check them out. Lots of good stuff, different scents like lavender and lemonade and that kind of stuff. So check them out, Mango Moi.
Awesome. Man, okay, so social media. It's been on my mind. I will be honest and say that social media has, played some roles in my relationship. You know what I mean? And I think it's important to talk about it because number one, this is called the Black Millennial Wife. So millennials, social media, they're basically synonymous.
Mm-hmm.
My husband does have social media. He does have Facebook, Instagram, and he's not very active on either, which is cool with me. But it can be a touchy place to be sometimes because number one, you don't want to be like hunting down or looking on anybody's social media. But people be creeping. People be creeping, and I ain't crazy, and I can understand how somebody wouldn't want to tell their spouse that somebody's hit them up or something, especially if they're not entertaining it, because it can just cause unrest in a relationship, no matter how much you trust your spouse. So don't front. But it can just, bring up situations.
For sure. So, my husband doesn't really do social media anymore. And I think I'm probably to blame for that. I'm pretty okay with that. But, we were both active, right? We're both millennials. MySpace back when that was a thing, like all that, Black Planet, all that. But now he's not so much on it. We're pretty I am active on social media, but I don't really post a lot of personal things. Like you'll never see like my son's picture on there. Like I keep that off of there for sure. But it's definitely impacted our relationship in a number of different ways. It's
So
strengthened.
you said that you're to blame for him not having social media. So were you like, I need you to just back up off social media. These girls is out here talking too much.
No, it wasn't really like that, but it was just, I have expectations, as wrong as that may be. Maybe I shouldn't say expectations. I have standards about how, I move on social media and how I expect my husband to move on social media. And you can't move as my husband how you moved as my boyfriend. You can't, because I don't move that way. So the standard has changed and elevated. And in that change, there were some situations where we really had to have heated discussions so we could be on the same page about all of that. So, like, for instance, my husband stays in the gym. He won't skip a beat going to the gym. So he's very attractive physically, right? That's part of the reason why I married him. But he liked to take pictures like of him at the beach and stuff like that while we were dating. And I really didn't like it too much. But, I didn't have really, I didn't feel appropriate in asking him to move differently on social media as his girlfriend. I just kind of let it ride. But once we got married, you need to cut that out. Because really and truly, the way I viewed it was, you are advertising my property. Don't go on there showing your 6, 8, and 12 pack to everybody, because you are really inviting a certain kind of attention. That's really what it came down to. You're inviting a certain kind of attention that you don't need to invite. You just don't need to invite that, because that puts you in a position to have to shut it down. And if you don't do that in the right manner, that could come back to me, and then we're going to have it's going to be a whole thing. Our household is not going to be peaceful for nobody. And I didn't want that anymore. So, I set some expectations on what I would not like to see on social media anymore. And it was a few conversations that we had to have about that.
And we're talking about our husbands right now, but we also can talk about ourselves. Well, let me say I can talk about myself because you did express that you're not like super active on social media, whereas I am. And my husband, what I was going to say, never really has been like super active on it. He has, sports stuff and things like that. It was other people who would be active on social media and stuff like that caused us to have conversations about it. And I'll speak about myself really quick, is that yes, I'm the complete opposite of everybody in this conversation right now. Like, my career is based on social media essentially. And so I'm very active on it. And I will say, I think it's all about knowing your spouse too, because I know that my husband, if you go scrolling through my personal page, the most of the pictures that are taken are him taking them. So if it may be a more, I'm going to say risque picture, but I'm not like half naked anywhere. But I like to show a little skill sometimes. I'm still a Christian. The Lord still loves me. But he's there. He's taking them. Or if it's somebody else taking them, I literally show them to him. And I'm like, hey, babe, what do you think about this picture or this picture? And I do consider him because he's my husband.
There has been a couple times where I've seen your social media posts and I've had to text you, hey, is Trey cool with this? Like, has he approved this post? And you always say, yeah.
Absolutely, because that's the truth. And if you would like some examples of what we're talking about, just go to my personal page and find the page with the fur coat. Okay, that's what she's talking about. That's what she's specifically referring to. And yes, that was in my studio at home with my husband behind the camera taking it. And we literally went through the pictures and I was like, okay, what about this one? What about this one? I like it. Boom, I posted. So I think that's important, is that you made a very good point when you said that I'm essentially advertising to the world his property. I am his wife. My body is not just mine. It is his also. And so if I'm going to post something, I'll never be naked or half naked or anything, but I may show a little bit more skin. And if I'm going to post something that does that, then I have to make sure that my husband, who I have to live with and lay with at night is okay with that, because it's not worth it if it's going to cause problems in my home. And if it did cause problems, would I stop? Absolutely. Would I put up a fight about it? Probably so. But I would ultimately stop, because my life isn't about what other people think or like or any of that. It's what my husband thinks and what he likes. But you got to know your spouse, and that's our relationship.
Yeah. That's true. I will never, and have never, and not judging if you had, because you probably had a reason to, our viewers. I've never like gone through his social media. We established this rule like early in our marriage. Like, you don't have to come and report back to me every time somebody shoot they shot. You fine. I know you fine. I know other people think you fine. So it's not crazy for a woman to approach him or send him a DM or something like that. But there's a certain level of inappropriateness that I want to know about. And there's certain people that I want to know about. We all have those people in our history that's just like, they were more significant than somebody else. So we established that early. If it's yada, 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 you need to let me know, because I may need to do a follow-up basically with her and make sure that everybody's on the same page. And I've grown a lot because in college, but now that we are 7 years almost into our marriage, I kind of don't care. Like, I kind of don't care. I really believe that he knows now very, very well what I think is inappropriate and what I think is acceptable. And we don't have to roll down a list of do's and don'ts anymore. Like, you know what's going to work and what's not going to work. And if you try to, do something that ain't going to work, you're going to cause tension and issues in our home. And we both are big on keeping peace in our home. We don't want no trouble between the two of us. Like, it's just not worth it, like you said. So, I don't go through his stuff. He don't go through mine. It's no point. Like, we married. We know we married. We know what that means. And the people that need to know. And the people that don't know yet, get told. And that's just what it is.
Absolutely. And I think to touch on the sharing passwords and all of that stuff, I think pertaining to that, it's what works for your relationship. If y'all are that type of couple that's like, oh, I got to have your password and do all of that, then hey, if that works for your marriage, do you. I think there also has to be a level of trust at the same time. And I'll speak for my situation. I had a phone basically out of space. So I would use Trey's phone for everything, recording videos, all of that. So the easiest way to do that, instead of like sending it to my phone or anything like that, was to just, I have my Google Drive, my Instagram, my Facebook, my TikTok, all of that is set up on his phone. My YouTube, so if I'm ready to upload it, boom, I just go switch it to my account and it just stays that way. So essentially at any point in time, he could get on any of my accounts and do whatever he so pleases. Then he ends up getting locked out of his Instagram. So he made a joke the other night. Literally, we were watching a show on Amazon Prime, and it was a comedy show. And so he was like, oh yeah, I just followed him on our Instagram, because he doesn't have his Instagram password anymore. Like, we died laughing, because he'll like throw in little things like that. And I'm just like, are you ever going to try to re-log into your Instagram? He was like, it's not a priority. And it's not. I mean, I couldn't care less what he looks at in my DMs or anything, like, it's at this point in life, it's not something that affects me. It's not something that bothers me. And like you said, I'm the same exact way. I'll even venture to be specific. There is a person you tell me about if that person ever contacts you, period. And after that, I really don't care. I don't care. I don't care. You know, you grow past that stage. I
Yeah.
think, like you said in the beginning, you have to figure out that, what did we say? Not expectation, but
Standard.
standard. I love that. We got to talk about that. Expectation versus standard. You got to set that standard in the beginning, which I think is acceptable. And then after that, we should both know, you know, we should be able to go. We're both grown. So you know what's right, you know what's wrong, period. So you set that in the beginning and you grow from there. So yes, before there were things that caused tension in our household from social media. But 8 years in, we're not having that same struggle. And if we are having the same struggle, then something is not right. And it's a deeper issue that needs to be talked about.
You know, I had to come to the understanding because I don't think I was ever the type to really like snoop and pry and dig and all of that, but I was always very aware. But I had to realize somebody can shoot him a DM or walk up to him at work. Like you cannot control the interaction that your spouse has with the outside world through social media, through their job, through going to the grocery store. You cannot. Excuse me. And if you try, you're going to drive yourself crazy. And I just was not willing to invest that much time, energy, focus into trying to track who trying to talk to my husband. That don't make sense. After we've established some rules, my husband knows the expectation and the standard when it comes to politely letting women know he is not interested in that he is married. So it takes a level of maturity and I think a level of understanding and comfortability with God, because you've mentioned before, you know, the Lord is going to show you what you need to see. You're not going to necessarily have to dig. So, you know, I've been blessed enough to not have to have really any issues with, you know, a lot of attention to my husband, at least in our marriage. Definitely in college, I had to shut some stuff down, but not no more in our marriage. I don't want to go back and be that Avis anymore. You know, I've evolved and grown in my relationship with the Lord and my, you know, just being comfortable with who I am as a woman. I think that helped a lot too, because I'm not in competition with any woman over my husband. I'm not. So, you know, that just is what it is. But, you know, if newlyweds or even people that have been in relationships for a while are struggling with how to handle social media in a respectful way, I think it's maybe two things to consider. I think it's one to look inward, right? Like, what is it in your heart that may be misplaced, right? Like, if you have certain insecurities that stem from past relationships, childhood, and stuff like that, I think we have to be very mindful not to project that onto our spouse. And then another level to that is making sure your spouse understands what you need to feel safe and secure in your marriage. So it's not easy. It takes sometimes some arguments, some heated discussions to get to that place. But, you know, if you are wanting for there to be success in that area in your marriage and your partner is on the same page, you should be able to come to a compromise that makes everybody happy. So
Absolutely. I totally agree with that. And I'd also say that we centered the conversation around our husbands, but we both know, and I want to say it out loud, is that the same goes for us.
for sure.
You know, absolutely. I think that's something that you also have to be mindful of, is what you set the standard for your husband has got to be the same standard for you. And I mean, that's just respect. That's the way that it goes. Nobody gets to just say, this is it for this person, but I can be over here doing this, that, and the third. It don't work like that. So I think that's awesome. All right. Let's wrap up the episode by sharing how we won at adulting. So everybody wants to be an adult. Everybody wants to grow up until you get to that thing and realize that it never stops. So we love to celebrate ways in which we have won at adulting throughout the week or this day. And maybe sometimes there will be a moment in which we don't have anything to share. But that's okay, because we're doing the absolute best that we can. So how I won at adulting this week is my husband and I are getting ready to go on vacation. I know that it's a pandemic, but we're going to be very safe and practice all of the things that are going to keep us safe. But I basically got our entire house cleaned from top to bottom. I've washed all of the laundry. And so we're leaving on Sunday. And when we leave, the house will be ready for us to come back, and it'll be nice and clean. And that is one of the most important things I love to do when I'm going out of town. It can be hard sometimes to make sure I get it done in the midst of all the work, but I did it. I'm ready to go. So I'm very proud of myself for doing that. What about you?
So for me, this week we finished our wills. So that was like not the nicest thing to think about. But since we have a son now, we have to be very mindful about what could potentially happen if something was to happen to either one of us or both of us. So there's an app called Tomorrow, I believe, and it's super easy to do it on. You just do it like on your phone. And they ask you guided questions on like, do you have this? Like, do you have this? Like, do you have a beneficiary? Who would be the person to take over this? So it's called Tomorrow. Super easy, and we got it taken care of. So, Lord forbid, but at least if something was happening, we have a will in place. Nobody can argue over anything. Everything is already set. So that's how I won at adulting this week.
Awesome. All right, guys. We hope that you enjoyed the conversation. We would love to hear from you guys in the comments. Share with us if you have had the social media conversation with your spouse. What kind of standards did you set for your relationship? We would love to hear about it.
So thank you guys so much for watching another episode of the Black Millennial Wife. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe. Don't forget that subscribe piece. That's an important part. So thank you again for watching. We hope that we were able to give you something to help you in your marriage, help you in your relationships, and just be waiting for the next episode. So thanks.